going to reconvene from closed session. Do I have a motion to reconvene? Who made that?
I did.
Todd with a second by Christian.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can I get a roll call vote for that?
Okay, Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember Gran.
Aye.
Councilmember MD.
Aye.
Mayor Brand is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. All right. Perfect. So roll call. Do we need a roll call right now as well?
Yeah. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
I'd say aye because I said here on the last one, but here.
Councilmember Gran.
I'd say aye, but I'm here.
Councilmember MD.
Aye. Here.
And absent. Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
That's right. I'm here. All right. Perfect. Do we have any announcements from closed session, Cheryl or Joe?
We do have reportable action. I don't see Cheryl. There was a unanimous vote by the council, motion to defend the city in the lawsuit F2 and F3, Christopher Epple versus City of Redondo Beach et al. And the second lawsuit was Granush Bakadzian versus City of Redondo Beach et al. That was one reportable action. Other reportable action is that we did not have Anthony Nash in closed session.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So I'd like to open up, call to order for a regular meeting. Do we have a roll call for a regular meeting? Do we need to?
Yes.
We did that, right?
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath.
Here.
Councilmember Gran.
Here.
Councilmember MD.
Here.
Mayor Brand absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Here. Perfect. And we got a flag, so let's do a salute and a moment of silence afterwards. On three. 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And
and to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. Do we have any presentations or proclamations, Eleanor or anyone else? We don't have anything on the agenda here.
No, I don't
Okay.
have any on.
All right. Approval of the order of agenda. Is everyone okay with the approval with the agenda as is, or anyone want to move everything around?
Motion to approve.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
we need to pull P4. That will go.
That's right.
That's related to the appointments of a couple of commissioners.
And that was just P4. And did we want to pull something else as well when we spoke earlier? Just P4.
Nope. P4.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to take out item P4 because Mayor Brand is not here. So if we can just get a motion to.
Motion to approve minus P4.
Perfect. Second. Motion by Councilmember Horvath, second by Councilmember Grant.
Roll call vote.
Roll
You
call
want me
vote.
Okay, so Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Gran.
Aye.
Councilmember MD.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. All right, agency recess. We've got a special meeting of the Redondo Beach Housing Authority. This is a special meeting. John LaRock, take it away.
I want to bring the two commissioners.
Oh, yep.
Okay, there we go.
Good evening, authority members of the public. John LaRock, Community Services Director. I'm joined by Angelica Zavala, our housing supervisor. You need to have a motion to open the public hearing and then.
Oh, excuse me.
Roll call.
We
Hold
need
on.
to do roll call we need to call the meeting to order for the special
Oh, that's right.
housing authority, and then we need to do roll call. Okay, so, sorry. Member Nierenheim, or excuse me, hold on. Member Lowenstein.
Here.
Member Horvath.
Here.
Member Gran.
Here.
Member MD.
Here.
Commissioner Linez,
Here.
Commissioner Vogosang,
Here.
Chairman Brand is absent, and Vice Chair Nierenheim.
Here.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. Mr. LaRock.
Well, we need to go through the agenda,
Do
so
we approve the order agenda? Oh, that's right. We got to approve their agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the order of agenda for the Housing Authority special meeting?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember MD, second by Councilmember Horvath. Roll call vote.
Member Lowenstein? Member Horvath?
Aye.
Member Grand?
Aye.
Member MD?
Aye.
Commissioner Linez?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Nierenheim.
Aye. All right. So we will get to our first item then.
We need
Public participation first.
Public participation. I don't have that.
We need to do consent. Did we do consent?
Do we have a consent item? I don't
Yeah,
have
we
the
didn't do
agenda.
consent. We have two items on the consent calendar, just the posting and other standard items. So we need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion
Okay.
to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay. So Member Lowenstein? Member Horvath?
Aye.
Member Grand?
Aye.
Member MD?
Aye.
Commissioner Linez?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogosang?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Nierenheim.
Aye.
Okay. And we need to ask for public participation of non-agenda items.
So do we have any non-agenda items, particularly e-comments or people on the line chats?
No, not for
Okay.
this, not for this item.
All right.
Okay, ex parte communications? We have a public hearing.
Todd, do you have any ex parte communications?
I have none.
Christian, do you have anything to report?
I do not.
John
No, I do not.
and Laura
No, I do not.
and Commissioner Raphael
No, I do not.
and Commissioner Vanessa, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
I do not either. Sounds good. So do I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, Member Lowenstein.
Aye.
Member Horvath.
Aye.
Member Grand.
Aye.
Member MD.
Aye.
Commissioner Linez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogosang.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Nierenheim.
Aye. Third time's a charm.
Good evening, authority members. John LaRock, Community Services Department. I'm joined by Angelica Zavala, our housing supervisor. We're here tonight to do our annual public hearing for your consideration and approval of the annual and 5-year Public Housing Authority plan. These are compulsory documents that we file with the Office of Housing and Urban Development, or otherwise known as HUD, every year, although this is the 5-year cycle to submit the 5-year plan. As you'll note on the forms attached to your report, they briefly describe and summarize the programs and activities of our housing authority. HUD has modified the schedule for the public hearing and submission of these files due to the pandemic this year. So that is the reason we called the special meeting, so that we could get this done within that revised timeline, since our December normal quarterly update will be too late to submit these. So our recommendation this evening is that you open the public hearing, which you have done. You take any public testimony regarding the housing authority plans. You close the public hearing, and that you approve the 1- and 5-year public housing authority plans and our submission of the signed certification documents to the Office of Housing and Urban Development. Angelica and I are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions on the 5-year plan? Let me go to my chats here. There's no questions, no hands up from the commissioners or the city council members. Eleanor, is there any e-comments or?
We have no, I guess anybody in the public, if they would like to speak on this item, if you're on the phone, you can do *9 or raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any. And let's see if we have any. I don't think we have any. Let me just double check. Yep, we have none for e-comments.
Cool. Hey, John, I got a question for you, actually. I read earlier on the executive summary that we are, quote, high performer, unquote. Do we win any extra awards, any kudos for that? Or is there a higher level of status than this? I mean, we just seem to be doing a great job. I mean, we're one of the only beach cities, South Bay cities that has a housing authority. What's the status of that? How, we're doing a great job. So that's awesome.
High performer agency status really speaks to the work of Angelica and her staff in managing all of the data tracking, financial tracking, voucher management, and reporting to HUD. It does provide some level of trust from HUD. We certainly have to comply with all regulations and submission deadlines, but it is really just a credit, much like we receive with our auditing accolades. It is a credit to Angelica and the housing staff for the work they do to manage that program. But it doesn't afford us additional funding or any other, quote, special favors.
Okay. Cool. All right. Can I get, unless there's any other panelists, John, I didn't see whose hand came up first. John?
Mine did. Well, I just would like to say on behalf of the authority, thank you very much, Angelica, for your work on this. This is terrific. It is nice to be able to pass on kudos and say, job well done. So thank you very much, especially in these trying times. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Laura?
I was just going to say the same thing. I actually happen to know a few people that have gone through the process, and our staff really does a really great job of helping them go through all that process and what it takes. It can be very overwhelming, and they're very patient, very kind, and thank you.
Thank you for your words.
Yeah, great work. All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Councilmember Lowenstein, second by Councilmember Horvath. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Member Lowenstein?
Aye.
Member Horvath?
Aye.
Member Gran?
Aye.
Member MD?
Hi.
Commissioner Linez?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogosang?
You're muted, Vogelsang.
Hi.
There you
Thank you. And Vice Chair Nierenheim?
Aye. Perfect. Okay, so we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Or second.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Grand, second by Councilman Horvath. Another roll call vote.
Member Lowenstein?
Aye.
Member Horvath?
Aye.
Member Gran?
Aye.
Member MD?
Hi.
Commissioner Linez?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogosang?
Hi.
And Vice Chair Nierenheim?
Aye. So,
And just for the record, that was to approve the 1-year and 5-year public housing authority plans and the submission of certifications of such to the housing authority, to the HUD.
Correct.
Yep. Perfect. All right. So that takes care of public hearings. G1, there's no old business. There is no new business. Are there any member items and referrals to staff? Time for any person here on the committee to refer something to Ms. LaRock or staff? Anyone? I don't see. Laura and John, your hands are still up. I'm assuming that was from last time.
So then I'll make a referral. And Angelica, please keep up the great work. How's that? That's good.
Oh, thank you. We will. We're working hard.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So can we get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There you go. Waiting for the second. So,
I was hoping that Vanessa would go do it. I just wasn't.
Okay, so Member Lowenstein? Member Horvath?
Aye.
Member Grand?
Aye.
Member MD?
Aye.
Commissioner Linez?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogelsang? And Vice Chair Nierenheim?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate that. So we are now back to our normal agenda.
To do roll call.
Oh, roll call vote. That's right.
So Councilmember Lowenstein?
Here.
Councilmember Horvath?
Here.
Councilmember Grand?
Here.
Councilmember MD?
Here.
Mayor Brand is absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Here. All right. Blue folder items. Do we have?
Mayor Pro Tem, sorry to interrupt you. Can we do announcements?
Yes. That's not on my thing here. Absolutely. We can do announcements right now. Councilmember, in fact, yeah, thank you for getting me there. Yeah, Councilmember Lowenstein, go for it.
Sure. Thank you. The next District 2 community meeting will be on Wednesday, October 28th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. If anybody would like an invite, I'll be sending out an email this week. And then if anybody would like a direct invitation, and you're not on my email list, please email me at my city address and I will send you a link to the Zoom call. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Councilmember Horvath, any announcements?
Yeah, my community meeting is this Thursday night from 6 to 7. Our topic is going to be reimagining our North Redondo Beach neighborhoods. We'll have Southern California Edison and some staff members there, and we'll be talking about where do we want to see our North Redondo Beach neighborhoods going in the next 20, 30 years.
Perfect. You broke up a little bit in the beginning there. What day did you say it was on?
It's this Thursday from 6 to 7:30 p.m.
Perfect. Councilmember Graham.
Sure. I just wanted to point out that businesses that are looking for temporary use permits, contact our community development department. They are doing a fantastic job in getting information out. And also the CARES Act reimbursement grant programs are still out there. We're receiving applications, but please get your applications in as soon as possible, since we don't want to lose our momentum. So go ahead and do that, and be safe, everyone.
Great. Councilmember MD, anything to report?
Yeah, today I was the plenary speaker at the American Shores and Beach Preservation Conference as part of the my duties as chair of the LA Beaches Commission. It went really well, and I want to just say thank you to Mike Wadzanski, to Ted Simon, and to Stephen Proud for helping me out and pull together some materials for that talk. And also for the residents, I want to say that don't forget that Athens is giving away free compost on Saturday, October 24th from 8 a.m. to noon at Wilderness Park. Redondo Beach residents only. Must wear your face mask. Bring a sturdy container to carry it out in. No plastic bags and no containers larger than 32 gallons. So make sure you go check that out. And next time we'll talk about November 7th is the hazardous waste and document shredding. So start putting that on your calendar and start clearing out those garages.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing it up. My announcement is I had a community meeting on Saturday, went really well. I have an online community meeting tomorrow night at 6:30, registration required. I sent out a link. It's on my Facebook page. I emailed a bunch of people. If anyone wants to get a link to pre-register, just go ahead and let me know beforehand. I'll send that out as soon as you email me. If you go ahead and email me. Other than that, I have nothing else to announce. So blue folder items. Went back to the order. I know we have got some email items. Eleanor from.
Yes, we have a public comment for J1, which is non-agenda items, and then we have some public comments for P2, which is the consideration of adopting a resolution supporting balanced energy solutions and maintaining local control. Those are the only two items that I have.
Okay. I have a motion to take those two items to blue folder.
So move.
Second.
Great. Motion by Councilmember Grand, second by Councilmember Horvath. We need a roll call vote.
Yes, Councilmember Lowenstein,
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Grand,
Aye.
Member MD,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. All right. So on to the consent calendar.
Oh, we gonna do, oh, wait a minute. Did I just, oh, sorry, never mind.
Okay. On to the consent calendar. This portion, we only have 2 items on the agenda on this consent calendar, so I don't think there's actually, do we even need to do this? If it's just the 2 items that you, affidavit,
Yes.
oh, yeah, we do need to do this. Yeah. So motion to approve the consent calendar, the 2 items that are on there, please.
I'd like to pull both items.
I figured you'd do that.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right.
And before I do roll call, I just want to, for the record, there are no public.
No public.
This one, and then also no e-comments.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Councilmember Lowenstein,
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Grand,
Aye.
Councilmember MD,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. All right. That takes care of consent calendar. All right. So public participation on non-agenda items. So did anyone email, e-comment, or on the line for non-agenda public participation?
Okay, I have Holly Osborne. Okay, there you go. Holly?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council and staff. This is Holly here, District 5. I want to talk first about the relation of green space to temperature, and this talk is inspired by 2 remarks made in the last meeting, plus a recent article from the New York Times. The first remark last meeting was what Brandy Forbes said. I mean, she gave a very clear ADU presentation, and then after it was over, and the city council understood the implications of the presentation, one of the council members said, quote, "This sucks." And this wasn't about the presentation, it was about the implications. And what I believe what prompted that remark is the fact that we can't enforce our FAR, and the ADU ordinance is forcing us to allow a large amount of concrete coverage, basically no grass left, especially on our small lots. Then the second remark during the meeting last time was someone during the presentation on Artesia commented about hot pavement and no trees. So then I happen to have recently read an article entitled from the New York Times, How Racist Policies Left Some Neighborhoods Sweltering. And it talked about the difference in temperature between green areas of town that had trees and canopies and lawns and redlined areas of towns that had masses of concrete. And so the picture I sent out in advance is from that article. And the article was specifically about Richmond, Virginia. So let me give a couple of quotes from the article. Today, Richmond's formerly redlined neighborhoods are on average 5 degrees hotter on a summer day than the green line neighborhoods, satellite analysis revealed. And some of the hottest areas can actually see temperatures 15 degrees higher than the green parts of town. Now that Richmond is the third from the bottom in the picture that I sent out. So you can see the 5-degree difference. Now, I'm not interested in these graphs as a function of green line and red line neighborhoods as defined by the banks, but as a function of non-concretized neighborhoods and concretized neighborhoods. Because North Redondo, especially North Redondo, has both. And I would have preferred it if the article had coverage listed, but it doesn't in general. However, in the article, they mentioned for Richmond that the green line areas with the trees in the parks had 42% coverage of the land, and the red-lined areas, green space covering was 12%. And it was that difference that caused the 5-degree heat increase. So why am I bringing this up? Oh dear, I'm running out of time. Because If SB 1120 comes back, this will allow lot splitting and then 2 on each lot, and a lot the size of Redondo will not be any green space left. And if you thought last week's presentation had bad implications, SB 1120 will be worse. And so what can we do? Just 15 more seconds. I think we need to join whatever appeals are going on about the SCAG RENA total allocation. I mentioned that last time. I thought about how the 1.34 million was too high based on recent studies, and get your best legal minds on this. And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I hope you provide a referral to staff on this. Beverly Hills is discussing it tomorrow. We can listen to them for comments. Okay, well, that was 3:41.
No worries. Thank you, Holly. That's an interesting graph. I see the graph here in front of us. I guess we'll follow up on that with the Community Development Department, Brandy. Especially if Beverly Hills is talking about that, John Mirich and that whole crew up there. So we'll have to follow up. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
It's tomorrow. You can.
It's not a regular council meeting, huh?
Sorry,
Yeah. Okay, so anyone else? I think we have one more.
Yes, we have another one.
Howdy.
Okay, Zane Obaji.
Howdy, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. Ms. Osborne, that was me who mentioned the palm trees need to go and be replaced by bigger trees. I'm in Council District 4. And actually, I also was inspired by something somebody else said last week that I want to reemphasize here, which is one other way to really get commerce to Artesia and for people to pay attention to what's there is to slow it down. And besides that speaker, that resident saying that last week, I thought about streets that have a lot of economic activity on them, like that which you pointed out, Councilmember Grand, 2nd Street in Long Beach, like Myrtle and Monrovia, like Colorado and Pasadena, like Rodeo Drive, even Wilshire in Beverly Hills. Traffic goes slowly there. And when traffic goes slowly, people feel safe and comfortable to walk. The drivers also see what's on the side of the street. They see the businesses there, and they can see what they can go to. And if there are restaurants there, that's even all that much more better. They can see people there and say, hey, I want to go try that place out. I realize Artesia is a corridor for people to get east and west. So what I suggest y'all look at is whether there can be different speed limits during, let's say, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and those adjusted and increased back to 35 after 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., especially during morning traffic when people are getting to the 405 freeway, but that we really slow it down during the daytime, the early evening hours. Thank you all for your consideration and your service.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baji. I don't see anyone else on the phone call list.
We have an e-comment. So,
Okay.
Cronenberger, would you like to read that comment, please?
Thank you, Eleanor. This is submitted by Matthew Hensley. My name is Matthew Hensley, and I am a resident of District 3. My comment is about the public availability of blue folder items. In the current environment of virtual meetings and e-comments, the City of Redondo Beach has not come up with a good way to handle blue folder items. Currently, the only way is to email the busy city clerk during the day of a meeting is currently the only way to get a blue folder item one at a time. What used to be available in paper form prior to the start of a city council or any other commission meeting has not transferred well to this new online environment. There is currently no way for the public to see or have access to any blue folder item until weeks after the public meeting is held. Consider a new way to make blue folder items and items that the council or commission is considering available online to the public prior to the meeting as they become available to the council or the commission. That concludes the comments under non-agenda items.
All right. Thank you.
So I can answer that, Mayor Pro Tem, so that way
Yes.
the public knows, is that we have it in a couple places. It is actually in Laserfish, so you can find it there.
They don't know what Laserfish is.
So it's our record, it's to search records. So you can find it where you can go to our agenda and you can find each packet or each item with all the detailed information. Then the other thing is, if you go to agenda in the insight page or where you go and find the agenda, not agenda packet, because once we do the agenda packet, that's when we did it on Friday or Thursday, that stays the way it is. We can't add anything to it. But if you go under agenda and you see the agenda, if you go to blue folder, we attach that right after about an hour after we send council after 3:00, you'll see that information. And then also if you go to that certain item. So we do have it online. It usually goes on around 4:00.
So as long as people get the email into you before 3:00, 3:00 is cutoff, it will be under a blue folder item.
Correct.
And then after 3:00, they can do an e-comment, which is closed after the item is closed.
Well, you can do an e-comment anytime you want to. You can do an e-comment anytime.
Yeah, but up until the agenda item is done.
Right, correct. If they want to contact. But otherwise, all blue folder items that we receive before 3 goes on to the agenda, not the agenda packet, because there's 2 columns.
Looking back, the e-comments, do they disappear like a day afterwards? I wasn't able to see the e-comments after.
So to get to see the prior e-comments, you can go to redondo.granicusideas.com, and it'll show you all the e-comments.
Is there going to be an eventual conglomeratization of all these comments through the minutes eventually? Because I don't do those show up like that?
We print them out and we store them into Laserfish.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So there's multiple different areas people can get their comments in. It's for the record. Yeah. Because we keep them. We got to keep them for the record. Yes. And real quick, the 2 packets that you guys produce, I believe the agenda itself has the hyperlink, blue hyperlink, so they can go directly then to the web link, which is they can go to the item itself.
Correct.
Perfect.
You have the agenda where it just has the hyperlink, and then you have the agenda packet, which has the backup and everything. So
agenda is a real quick download. The agenda packet is the real 30 to 150 megabyte, 200 megabyte size packet, which you can take a few minutes to download. So if anyone wants to just download a single item, you go to the agenda, click on the hyperlink to what you want, takes you directly to that page and download the supporting material. Cool. All right. So next item is, I actually wanted to talk to you about this, Eleanor, beginning. I forgot to, but technically speaking, the items that we continued last time, P1 and P2 should fall under M items, correct?
Well, these are mayor and council items. So 01 was also from last meeting.
Okay.
So considering this was a short meeting, I just put all of them in the areas that they were in, because we're going to go through the same order.
Okay, perfect. All right, so no items continued, items prior discussion. All right, city manager items. Joe, you are up.
Yes, so what we have tonight for you is one of our standard COVID-19 status reports. We've had more than a dozen of these. Basically, kind of a synopsis of actions taken by the city, history of the restrictions in place. Last week, you heard a presentation at the beginning of your meeting from Beach City's Health District on the Safe in the South Bay program. That's a new initiative by the Beach City's Health District. They will be back in front of us at some point in the future for a council review, a proclamation supporting, endorsing that program. I think it'll be an opportunity for each of you individually to take that pledge. So we can get you additional information along those lines if you want to be refreshed on that. Just a few items tonight to highlight. Again, we've mentioned this several times. We are back to enforcing the street sweeping parking restrictions. We've had that in place since September 21st. We're seeing widespread compliance. We had almost a month-long grace period, so that's going well. We are also continuing to dialogue and have interaction with the River Village Association related to outdoor dining. The Public Works Director has granted continuance for the outdoor dining use of city streets through October 18th. There is that drainage study that is underway. Ted may have an update if you want to talk about that specifically, but that's an item that we continue to work very closely with the bid. We recently had the reopening of City Park playgrounds. They just reopened October 9th pursuant to state and county directives allowing those playgrounds to again reopen. Next, we'll have the aviation track and field as well as the Vets Park fitness courts that we're looking to reopen this Friday, October 16th. So that's something that you all have taken an interest in, and we've talked about that in the past, but there will be guidelines and restrictions for the kind of proper use of those facilities. In addition, there's been some relaxation of the rules related to private business. Indoor malls can open now at 25% capacity. For the longest time, they were completely closed. Nail salons can open at 25% capacity. There has been also recent county action related to breweries, tasting rooms. In fact, the county had further discussion along those lines today when they received an update from Dr. Ferrer. So tonight, we don't have any specific action requested of you tonight or a resolution confirming any actions that we've taken as staff. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, if there's any questions or comments you have for us.
Yeah, so real quick, Mr. Saman, can we get a quick update from the Riviera Village? I know they have the hydrology study, and I've learned more about hydrology in South Redondo than I've ever knew even existed. And I believe it's coming back to us next week.
Yes, and yes, we've been working with the Village Association team, actually Alan in particular, continuously for the last couple of weeks regarding the hydrology study. We've had multiple meetings with Alan and their engineer, and last week we gave them a last set of comments. They have developed the updated hydrology study, an emergency response plan that addresses the different design hydrologies that we are looking for. And we will be bringing an item to the council next week. Hopefully it'll be minor enough as a consent item, but their request for an extension is something that we believe is grantable in this sense. So long as they take up the emergency plan, have contractors on board and ready to respond to any upcoming storms as we see them coming forward and be able to break those things down. At this point, it looks very viable, and we look forward to finalizing that with the association and bringing that to you next week.
Fantastic. That's great. Joe, last week we had the Beach Cities Health District on to give us an update on their COVID situation and their COVID. I was thinking a lot last week about the meeting last week, and we gave them a $10,000 check last week for the beach or for the storefront improvement program for one of their buildings they have on Artesia Boulevard. And, I've been looking at other communities, Manhattan or most, they have mask ordinances, and this council has tepidly looked at that. And I think there's a lot of pluses and minuses with having something like that. But the number one thing before we ever even go down that path for me has always been education. And some communities have done something called mask ambassadors, and they have volunteers out and they're handing out masks. They're doing education materials on COVID, on communicable diseases. I think it'd be good if we could get, and last week I even asked the executive director there about coming to us and doing a mask ambassadors and going on the Esplanade and the harbor. Is there any way you think we can get them to show up with make out some sort of partnership with them to have volunteers out there and spend some of their health district money to get education and masks and do on the Esplanade and the pier area? People will really congregate from outside of our community and inside our community.
Yeah, if the council would like us to do that, I'm happy to follow up and have some discussions with Mr. Backley. In terms of distributing masks to the public, we were actually the first city in the South Bay that did that through the police department. They had a couple thousand masks that I believe they distributed. What we're finding is that some people don't want the masks.
Right.
The council here took an action to strongly encourage the wearing of masks. You adopted a resolution. You did not go the extra step of having it be something that we would go out and enforce and cite. So if the council would like us to move further in the direction of distributing masks, have the ambassador type program, just let me know, council, and we follow up.
And Joe, and the point here is not for the city to be doing this. It's a huge, I see this as a huge opportunity for the BC's health district to be working and moving forward and working together with the city. And, you know, they indicated to us they wanted to see the leadership coming from us, asking them to come out there and doing this. So, you know, when we go for this item moving forward, I think I'll make a motion or amend this motion with a staff report to have them come through, because we also have testing services that they offer, as well as, you know, the upcoming vaccine. We're going to need to disperse the vaccine. So we form that relationship, get that information out there sooner or later. So I don't want us necessarily taking the charge on everything like we have been. They need to be, they have opportunities there. So, all right. I didn't see whose hand come up first. Chris, John, thank you. Councilman Grant.
Sure. Joe, I'm sorry I didn't ask this offline, but I was wondering, do you have a sense of roughly how many more tickets we wrote in the first couple of weeks when we started to re-ticket or enforce parking for street sweeping? And if you don't have this information, it's not necessary, but did we go up a factor of 50%, or how did we do?
You know, sorry, I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
Okay. I've received a number of phone calls and emails about that whole process. And I was just wondering if we had a sense of how much larger that is. Would that be something that we could get through possibly the police department? Or
sure. Yeah, I can get you that information.
Okay. I don't believe that I'll make a referral for that. I'll probably reach out to you offline. So.
Sure, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, let me pick up where John left off. So I think we absolutely tried our best. We gave people almost 5 weeks notice as it related to parking enforcement, and yet, and I'm pretty sure that each one of us were putting the information out there during that time via emails and social media and whatnot, and yet I can't tell you how many people still did not find the information. And I'll just anecdotally pass along one story from a resident. He goes, well, I don't use social media. You know, I don't read the emails. I rely on the paper. And he's like, why wasn't there an ad in the paper or an article in the paper about it? And so I said, okay, touche. Like, you know, we're always trying. We don't have a city, you know, public relations person that's helping us. You know, we're doing the best we can. I apologize. So Joe or Keith or whoever's, I don't see Keith on here. So my question would be if that very first week of ticketing, if we have some situations that where we could potentially, on a case-by-case basis, let people appeal those tickets, that might be good. What I have been told and is that even though we were supposed to have parking enforcement trailing during those weeks and leaving the warning notice, that was not happening everywhere. Now, I know it did happen on my block at least one of those weeks, but I don't know that it was consistent. So some people did fall through the cracks, and I just want to make sure that we have a little bit of flex here, you know, for some of those people who might have been caught off guard. Not saying we do it citywide, but just maybe on a case-by-case basis. So I'll just leave that to you and Chief Kaufman to discuss. The other thing I just wanted to bring up, and there's a public comment, an e-comment that'll be read, but the supers, which they are both commissioners, one is a Rex and Park commissioner and the other is a public safety commissioner, wrote us an e-comment, and the concerns are related to the loosening up of the regulations in the parks, which is a county loosening up. So children are now allowed to be on play structures and whatnot, and there's concerns about whether we're going to be able to enforce that. I know that there's some guidelines that come with the loosening up of the regulations, and how is that even going to, it's definitely not going to be enforced. I think we're all aware of that, but how are we going to guarantee that people are actually following the rules? And that's a challenge. And so my one question would be, and it's something we could consider discussing if it seems like it is a consistent problem in the future, but we are not allowed to be less restrictive than the state or the county, but we are allowed to be more restrictive. So if there was a situation where we felt like it was becoming unsafe again in those particular situations, do we have the ability to clamp down here?
We could become more restrictive than the state. That would either require council action, or if it were an emergency situation, I could take action, but that would again have to come back and be confirmed or ratified by the council. Maybe what I could do is call on John LaRock, who's been coordinating the work related to reopening of our playgrounds, and we've got signage up. And John, if you want to share your perspective.
Good evening, Council. John LaRock, Community Services Director. Effective last Friday, we reopened the city's playgrounds after receiving direction from the state of California, and pretty much every local agency followed suit to open their playgrounds. The state provided convenient messaging that local agencies used or modified to use to post at all the playgrounds. Our Public Works Department responded immediately to get all those signs up. We have 21 playgrounds across the city. So enforcement at 21 separate locations is an unlikely scenario. Masks are a state requirement everywhere you go if you're near people. So whether it's to enforce the rules on the pier or in the parks or anywhere in public, that's obviously a larger conversation. I will say, though, that under normal circumstances before the pandemic, the enforcement of any park rules, whether it was smoking or dogs or camping or the erecting of a volleyball tent, enforcement for those types of infractions is light at best and is oftentimes done on a coaching basis by any available staff in the park at that time to notify people of the rules, but not from an enforcement point of view because that's not our role, but from an education point of view. So, the use of the playgrounds is a mixed bag because there are infinite touch points for children and their parents and guardians. We are not able to clean the playgrounds after each use, obviously. And we're lucky if we can sanitize them on a daily basis, which is also a tall order. So it really is beholden upon the users of the parks, whether they're on the playgrounds or not, to follow the rules. But I think like everywhere else in society, people will choose to do what they feel is best for themselves. And obviously a lot of the park users are under the age of 2 and they are not required to wear masks. So it's a soup. And, our messaging, and certainly anytime we're in the parks running programs, which are also light at this point, we are reminding people of again, from an educational point of view of what the rules are for health and safety of everybody. For 16 hours a day, kicking people off for not wearing masks and doing social distancing, it's going to be user responsibility.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any. I just wanted to point out that that the letter had come in and that they are representative of a variety of voices that have at least reached out. So just keep it in the back of our minds here. I'm hoping that most people will take personal responsibility seriously, much like we kind of asked them to do as it came with the mask wearing and stuff. So, but we definitely do not have the capacity to enforce that. So please, everybody, just think about the other people that are using the park as well as yourselves. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other comments from other council members or staff. Anyone from the public? I see no one in the telephone call or participants list. Is there any e-comments?
Yes. Vicki?
Thank you. Hardin Super submitted comment. With city parks now fully reopened, we'd like to understand what measures the city plans to take to ensure that everybody can safely use the parks, meaning compliance with state and county rules regarding COVID. And we're not talking about minor violations. As an example, recently we observed a large soccer game with about 20 kids and at least 20 to 30 adults, not distanced and not in masks. These regulations are meant to protect public health and safety. As a city, we have an obligation to ensure that people will follow them. We also have an obligation not to send mixed messages about the importance of these rules. We understand that people are fatigued and that people just want to use the parks like they always have. We also understand that many people feel as though these regulations are an infringement on their rights and/or freedom. Well, that's the nature of rules. Every rule restricts you from doing something. We can't drive 100 miles per hour down 190th because it's dangerous. Would the city consider not enforcing the speed limit if enough people email the city council and said they want to be able to go as fast as they want? No. Will the city just hope for the best now that the state issued signs are up? Because we know that many people will comply, but many won't. So what happens when people don't comply? Right now, it seems the only option is to call the police, but is that the best solution? The reality is that without further city action, there will be situations where parents who want to set the right example for their kids, and more importantly, those kids, will be shut out. This shouldn't be an acceptable outcome. What about enacting a city ordinance to clarify the rules in our city and hiring a contractor to enforce it, like Hermosa and Manhattan both did? Both cities are also seeking federal, state, and state reimbursement for the COVID-related expenses. Why can't we do this in Redondo? The city has a choice about how to proceed and whether to be proactive or just hope for the best and turn a blind eye. Which direction will it take, and more importantly, why? Submitted by Hardin Super Public Safety Commissioner and Kate Corman Super Recreation and Parks Commissioner. That concludes comments.
All right, thank you, Vicki. Appreciate that. So yeah, my comment here to close it all up is I'm glad these e-comments came in and Councilman Horvath talked about the parks, because I think this is a perfect opportunity for the Beach Cities Health District. Like I said, again, we just gave them $10,000 for the storefront improvement program on Artesia Boulevard, and they can act as mask ambassadors. They can act as educational enforcement, educational components at the parks, making sure that the groups, whether it's small groups or large groups, are doing, social distancing, safety, and wearing their masks, and the benefits, and cleaning, and a whole host of things they could be doing really in our community to keep our community safe. So if no one has anything to add, I'll make a motion to receive and file a report and to have the Beach Cities Health District come back to us with options to provide us with services such as mask ambassadors along the Esplanade, the parks, the harbor, for public education, public health, information, educational services, and as well as upcoming testing services and as vaccine sites, or actually should just say vaccine sites. They are doing testing at the BC's Health District. So I'd like to get a second on that, if I can get one.
Second.
Great. Anyone have anything to add or any discussion on that? Great. We need a time frame on that, actually. Joe, want to do that by, mid-November? Is that seem feasible for you? It's really for them to come back and go from there.
It's really going to depend on their ability to respond. So we'll certainly push for that.
Okay.
At that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Can we get any other comment? Oh, Laura, you've got your hand up.
So just to clarify, your motion is just to ask Beach Cities Health District to take on more of a role of educating people to get a mask.
Coming down to places like the Esplanade and to the harbor and parks, and not just masks, but hey, group play, transmission, upcoming vaccine, the role that they're playing in the upcoming vaccine, dispersing of all the vaccines that we have, that we're hopefully going to be having here in the year, beginning of the year. Things that the city shouldn't be doing, but we need to be doing, rather than just slapping fines and enforcement on people.
So you're just asking them to do that, and they can say no.
Yeah, they can say, I want to bring them down to our council meeting. If they want to say no, hey, come and tell us no. I very specifically asked them last week. They said, if the city would like to take the leadership and ask us to come down, hey, we're more than happy to talk about it and have that discussion, but we need to ask them. So that's why I'm making this, including the parks and all these other areas.
All right, and I know people keep pointing to Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach and how they must have 100% compliance on masks. But just so you know, I just came down to Manhattan Beach and there were people without masks. And those restaurants, they were not 6 feet apart on their outdoor dining. And to the point where we were like, we went down there and we said, you know what, let's just go home and make our own old fashioned. And so I don't see. Yes, there were lots of people wearing masks. It's true. And could it be more than us? Maybe. But our numbers don't lie. Redondo Beach is doing really well. And especially compared to places, especially when you base it on populace, based on El Segundo and Manhattan, we're actually doing quite well, knock on wood. I mean, I don't want to tout that a lot because I don't want to jinx it at all. But I think there is been compliance, and you are going to have examples of people not wearing masks and not following the rules, and it's frustrating, and it's everything else, that we've heard a million times. But Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach putting up those fines does not make them a gold standard in compliance, because I've been there, and you don't have everybody wearing a mask. And so and then you head over to the beach and there was nobody wearing a mask on the beach. So I just want to caution on how heavy of a hand we want to have.
I agree with you fully on that. Couldn't agree with you more, but I'm also looking at other states like Wisconsin and Europe, particularly England is going back into a lockdown, other countries, Germany and France. And it's because of the winter time, people going back indoors. And so, the second wave, if we have the second wave start coming back, we want to be prepared. And so I'm not saying we have to do this week, just get this ball going, be a little proactive. And again, Beach City's Health District, they have a huge opportunity here to do something, help educate the public and take this burden off of us. So that's why I am moving that idea forward. But yeah, I agree with you, Councilmember MD. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, I would agree. And anecdotally, I've been riding the Strand both north up to Dockweiler and south down to Torrance Beach. And I can tell you, riding up to Dockweiler and riding north, I've seen about 70% of people not wearing masks. And yesterday I rode the Strand down to Torrance Beach yesterday in Redondo, and about 70% people were wearing masks. So I don't know how many of those people were Redondo residents, but I can tell you I was pleasantly surprised at how many people were doing it. And it also might be, one of the things that happened is the president got COVID. And so people are starting to think maybe I can get COVID. So, maybe that's having an impact on people, but I think anything we can do, I've hesitated a bit in terms of a mask ordinance because of the enforcement side of it. But I also think that we should try education now. I was a little bit, skeptical of it, but I think this is a good idea. And I think we should look at it. And if it doesn't work, then we escalate it up to mask ordinance. We have the ability to access CARES Act funding in order to pay for enforcement. But let's see if this will work. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try before it gets cold and people start going indoors. So I'm all for it. So thank you.
Get them to do it. All right. And John, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. I'll kind of second what Laura just said is I'd feel more comfortable just asking them for some options that are available now and looking at how we might do something with them or getting a volunteer group to actually take this over. Asking them to come on down and actually take care of this. We're not actually doing anything right now, so this isn't our issue. And we're not enforcing that. We did do, as Joe said, we put out an ordinance that said, please wear a mask, and we highly recommend you do so. I'm not really up for having the Beach City's Health District come down here and say yes or no. I'd like to ask them, hey, as a collaborative partner, what options are available for us? And to present a report that we could do that, and what kind of programs would be available, and start to talk about those, but not have them come down and actually start doing this for us.
Well, that's what this discussion is about. What you think we can do it for.
It didn't sound that way, the way you worded it. So you're kind of going pretty much like, hey, come on down here and we're going to press you to see if we can get you to do something for us. The fact is that I'd like a report, I'd like to know some options, and I'd like to have some things like that. So.
Okay.
Is that a friendly amendment?
It's a friendly amendment to just say, hey, tell you what, if they could come back and report on different options that we might have to increase our education on mask usage.
So let me get this straight. You want a report from staff to come back to tell us what our options are on education and park education and along the Esplanade and the harbors, the parks, and giving out masks, and you would just want to report on that?
Well, I'd like us to ask, I'd like staff to actually reach out and see if the Beach Cities Health District would help us with some options on education and how could we up our education game. Yeah.
Why don't we just have them come back to us with that as an actual meeting and say, this is the direction we'd like to go with mask ambassadors, with education, people in the parks, public places, and we have a nice discussion on that rather than coming up with a report and then we discuss it and then have them come back again.
So,
okay, Councilman Horvath.
So I guess maybe I think we're missing each other here. So let's just clarify. Your motion is requesting that they come back, as John is requesting, with options in a collaborative manner to discuss possible ways of educating people throughout the city using volunteers or whatever way they could possibly do it. But the intent is more of a collaborative approach, not I think as John was hearing it, a shake them down because we gave them $10,000 for a storefront improvement. I think that if I'm hearing John, I think he wants to make sure that this is a collaboration, not we expect you to do this. That's all. Would you clarify?
I will read back my exact motion I had written down earlier, which is motion to have Beach Cities Health District come back to us with options to provide us with services such as mask ambassadors along the Esplanade, the harbor, parks, for public education, public health, masks, and handing out masks and services, as well as potential ideas for a vaccine site and handing out vaccines at a later date. To have that done by November, mid-November.
And if you don't mind, I think Beach Cities Health District may be more comfortable doing this if it were incorporated as part of their Safer in the South Bay program. They're going to be hesitant to do something only for us that they're not willing to offer to their other cities and their jurisdiction. So perhaps the motion could be to incorporate into the Safe in the South Bay program the things you just indicated.
Yeah, I'll include that, the Safer in South Bay portion of the program as well. I mean, I don't, if they don't know what they're going to be doing in Hermosa, Manhattan, we can't compare against something that's not there. So that's why I'd like to have this conversation. But whatever the Safer in South Bay is, have that part of the presentation as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I as the seconder, I would just say, hey, let's ask them to do it. And if they're uncomfortable doing it, they'll tell us,
Yeah.
They'll come back to us and say, listen, we have to do it for everybody. And we're like, fine, great. If they can't do it, then they can't do it. I wouldn't be confrontational about it. And I know Joe will be diplomatic about it when he goes to them. So,
sure.
Yeah.
And Councilman Horvath, my reference to the $10,000 last week was that I saw the check coming through. Hey, we're working with you on things, and vice versa. It's, hey, we're working together to accomplish a lot of things. And Artesia Boulevard is getting a lot of love and joy, and it's fantastic. And when I saw that come through, I'm thinking, hey, you know what? Other cities have mask ambassadors. We have a health district. They have a huge opportunity. Let's capitalize on that, working together. So that's where I stand on that. Eleanor, are there any other public comments since we've been talking? E-comments? I don't see anyone on the phone call or attendee list.
Hold on a second. I'm on the. Gotta look on the next page here. Nope.
Perfect.
E-comments.
Okay. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Grand.
Aye.
Councilmember MD.
You're muted.
You're muted.
I'm hesitant because are we voting for the substitute motion or for the other one, or did you withdraw the substitute motion?
No, that wasn't a substitute motion. It was a clarification. I
Okay.
restated the motion.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. All right, aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate that. All right, off onto item P, Mayor and Council items. Discussion and consideration of possible action concerning feedback from city commissions related to the development of goals and objectives of the city's strategic plan. Who is taking us off on that?
Yeah, I'll tee this up for you. This is an item that was a follow-up from your last meeting, all the same information that was in your packet last time a week ago is duplicated. It's before you again tonight. What we have in the packet tonight is a compilation of all the feedback received from the various city commissions related to the development of 10-year goals. We had a report that was taken to 10 of the commissions. I think there was one that was not able to have a meeting. This report that was taken to the commissions was done pursuant to city council direction. This goes back to December 10th, your city council meeting. We have a copy of that template report that outlined the options that were brought to them as a follow-up from your prior strategic planning session. There were 3 options that we identified for 10-year goals. And basically the packet includes a variety of either minutes, letters, feedback received from all the different commissions. There's a lot of information to take in. We have this on your agenda tonight again, as your next strategic planning session is set for October 29th, 1 to 6 p.m. The approach based on the direction from council previously was that prior to your next strategic planning session, that if the council could develop a consensus on the format of the 10-year goals, that your next strategic planning session would instead focus on the refinement of the 3-year goals and more specific 6-month objectives. You were hesitant to go into a lot of discussion about 3-year goals before and to set those in final form until you had had an opportunity to digest the feedback from the commissions on the 10-year goals. Now, clearly, we recognize that a lot has changed over the last 6 months. We've had our hands full dealing with 2 local emergencies, COVID-19, as well as the potential for civil unrest. And while not at an emergency level, but close to that are budget challenges. So a lot has changed over the course of the last several months. It may be hard at times to think 10 years in advance, but that's what this opportunity is before you to do. And from a staff standpoint, those communities that are best able to chart where they want to be 10, 15 years from now, they most likely achieve that by going through this exact process. So with that, I'll turn it back to all of you for discussion. There's a lot of information to take in. We have the liaisons from the different commissions. If there are questions from staff about the feedback that you've been given from the different commissions, we'll try to clarify. But with that, Councilmember Horvath attended a number of the sessions, so you may want to hear from Councilmember Horvath early as part of this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So yeah, I attended some of these as well. I remember this when this happened. What was this? Actually, almost a year ago, right? That was the November strategic plan meeting, October.
September, I believe.
September. Oh wow, it has been over a year now. And it went out to all of the commissions. I remember reading and seeing the minutes, going to some of these commissions. I'm still in favor of doing option number 2. Option number 1 is, as I said in the beginning, was very nebulous and needed to be cleaned up, needed to be updated as well. Option number 3, in my opinion, had too much detail and was kind of all over the place. Those were my opinions. Councilman Horvath, did you want to say anything? I know you went to a couple of these commissions as well.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think I attended every commission meeting with the exception of public safety. I don't think they had a meeting. So, and then COVID hit and then that kind of came to a close. And basically all I did at those meetings was kind of run through the 3 options, gave a synopsis of our strategic planning meeting where we had the initial discussion, and then tried to explain, and I explained option 1 first, which was clearly what we already had. I then jumped to option 3, which was more of the policy direction I brought in, and I explained the thought process behind that. And then, of course, option 2 was kind of the whittled down version of option 3. The one thing I do want to reiterate, just because so much time has gone by since we initially looked at all this as a council, option 3 has a lot of bullet points underneath it, as Mayor Pro Tem Narenheim alluded to. It was very detailed. You know, those are not meant; those were meant to provide examples of things that could fall under the main buckets, right? And there was 6 main buckets there. And what I tried to do was take everybody on the council, including Mayor Brand, into consideration all the things we have focused on or like to focus on, and make our long-term goals in terms of policy directives, if you will. And the good thing about those is that they can function not only as long-term goals, but they can also function as 3-year goals as well. The idea being, and the reason why there's detailed bullet points under there, is you can look at examples, and that's not meant to be comprehensive by any stretch. They're just things that I was able to bring up when I was putting it together. Some are things that everybody's interested in. Some are things that I've been interested in myself. Some could be accomplished in short term. Some could need a longer time to be accomplished. The goal for me is that we set policy and staff enacts policy, and so I think by creating the bigger buckets here, as I did in 1 through 6, which option 2 is kind of just a wordsmithed, simplified version of that, is meant to ensure that we and future councils and future staffs keep going in the direction we hope things should go. Now, to some points that were made, clearly future councils can change that direction. But at the end of the day, I think most of these things are all important. You know, I keep calling them bucket areas that really pertain to all the different things we need to focus on as a city. The one thing I will say, if this council does decide to go with take out the bullets in option 3. If you were to go with option 3, remove the bullets and just stay with the numericals, the 1 through 6. But if we went with option 2 at the end of this discussion as a template for 10-year and or 3-year, goals, because like I said, they are duplicative in that sense. I still recommend that we reconsider bringing in number 6. And the reason why, same reason I will point out, as I did last October when we had strategic plan, is that creating long-term planning housing equity policies that preserve or enhance future quality of life, like these are conversations we're always having, right? These are the conversations that create an enormous amount of divisiveness in the community. And these are the issues that we are unified in, kind of fighting to maintain local control against state overreach. So I don't think we should leave it out of there, because I think we want to create enough flexibility for ourselves to be able to continue to be creative in how we attack things that do have direct and or indirect effect on that aspect of our quality of life. So with that, I yield.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Horvath. All right, I don't see any other hands from the council. Eleanor, is there anyone in phone or participants list that has any comments?
Not for P1.
Okay, no e-comments? Okay.
Nope.
Okay, my only real comment at this point in time is Councilman Lowenstein, go for it.
I would just say that if you're going to, lay out some guidelines in terms of what you want, make sure that if somebody comes up to what are your priorities, if you have a shorter version, it's easier to remember that. And so I think if I were going to pick any of these options, I would pick option 2 over 3 for sure. As to whether or not the housing element should be in that, it's something that, the housing policies, I think we can discuss it next week. It's something that we can get into more detail with, but I prefer 2 over 3 for sure. So
yeah, if you're going to boil out the bullet points in all of the third options, you end up having option number 2, but a little bit more condensed area. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think this is a great thing we can talk about it further in our strategic plan 2 weeks from now, but I'm definitely in favor of doing option number 2 and going down that path. John, I didn't see who's up next. John, did you have?
Yeah, so here's my thought. So we're looking at option 2 and option 3. Option 3, what it does is it gives you a starting place, and it gives you some placeholders. And as Mr. Horvath actually mentioned, it gives you language to kind of spur thought. When you look at a document, it is much easier to look at what's there and take it away or add to it because you are in that kind of mode than it is to look at a blank piece of paper and try to figure out what's not there. Okay, so I understand why option 3, as he's saying, the bullet points under there are not actually our goals. That's what we would be talking about. And it use it just as an ability to do so. I think that if we do that, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 under economic development, okay, great. But it's there to start our conversation. And then as Mr. Lowenstein mentioned, using that to actually then say, hey, by the way, these are our priorities. And again, those aren't in priority order, but we're starting to look at our priorities and we can kind of go through them. Again, it's easier to talk about what's on the page and either add, delete, or whatnot than it is to actually then start from there. And then we all kind of like, oh, well, I'd really like this. I'd really like that. We already have a list. Let's just start there. And we're going to take things out. It's going to be our list, right? It's going to be our goals and our information. So I'm leaning towards option 3, leaving the bullets in so that we have something to talk about. And then we actually, at the end of it, I would hope that we would come out with a list that has hey, we've got all 5 or 6 of the larger goals with sub goals under there so that we can direct staff to actually be focused in on the things that were in really the tangible piece. If you kind of think the larger ones are the strategic piece, the smaller ones are the tangible pieces. They're the smaller pieces that make up the whole. So that's my thought.
Okay, thank you, John. Councilmember MD.
I don't really see much difference between option 2 and option 3. Planning liked option 3, and then I love Harbor liked option 2, and then they added a whole bunch more that was just all Harbor focused on it. And so if you look at option 2, ensure long-term financial security and stability. Option 3, ensure long-term financial sustainability through robust economic development, public infrastructure investments, and other strategies. It's the same thing. So if you took 1 through 5 bullet points and did that for each one of them, I'll save you doing it for you. It's exactly the same thing. The only difference between option 2 and option 3 is to create long-term planning with housing and equity policies that preserve or enhance our future quality of life for all residents. So what does that mean? And I know you have the bullet points underneath it. I don't necessarily agree with all the bullet points on all these different items, but it definitely creates an umbrella in which we could direct staff on what we're interested in. I would remove all the bullet points as far as what's on there. We can use that as a further conversation as to what we want on each one of the bullet points, but there really isn't any difference between option 2 and option 3, except for that one about the housing. And it seems like we argue about the housing all the time, and it helps us build in plans that what we're doing anyway, which is, oppose Sacramento control on our housing, including inclusionary zoning policies, which is what we've talked about doing forever. So there's a lot of things that we do that would be incorporated in bullet point number 6, which is not in option 2. So I honestly, let's do option 3, take out the bullet points, because that, I don't think we necessarily agree with each and every one of those bullet points, but I think we agree on what the concepts are above those bullet points as far as that overarching umbrella. And that's what the council needs to kind of fine tune, if you will.
So, Councilmember Emily, I got a question for you then. All of these on option number 3 that I'm looking at are not Redondo specific. Like, for instance, streamlined government process with improved efficiency, resilience, responsive, transparency, and accessibility. And number 6, create long-term planning, housing, equity policy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all of these are not Redondo specific, and a lot of these are inherent on what we want to do, right? Ensure long-term financial stability. I mean, we need to do that, right? And you're right. And option number 2 has the same thing. Ensure long-term financial security stability. We're losing in a lot of this Redondo specific. We have harbor, right? We have the Riviera Village. We have certain things that makes us, well, we're residential heavy. We have very little commercial left. Do we want to preserve our commercial over the long term and do things that direct staff to preserve that? I think that's what this goal and directive and policy directives are aimed at. How do you feel about this not being Redondo specific?
Is that question to everyone, or?
Well,
but
but here's the thing, but you're kind of sidestepping the fact that option 2 and option 3 are the exact same options, except for number 6. That's it. And whether you want to make them specific for Redondo, you can put everything in there specific for Redondo. So prepare and enact a comprehensive transportation and mobility plan. Like Jim Hansen keeps telling us, enact our bicycle plan. We have a plan. Let's start making it a priority. There's definitely ways that everything in there is on what we do, whether it's the harbor suggestions or anything else we do can be incorporated in the umbrella of these 2 options. And if you're saying do option 2 instead of option 3, all I'm saying is there's no difference between them except for number 6.
So I think what you said was great just now regarding the bicycle master plan. Jim Hanna keeps coming down. I 100% agree with him. And as Mayor Brand said, we had something striped down towards Boulevard. Now it's been unstriped or paved over or something. And I think rather than create protective bike network or plan and implement, we actually say in here, implement bicycle master plan by 2030 or 2025, whatever it may be. That's an actual definable goal. You understand the difference there?
The difference is these are 10-year goals, and what you're suggesting are things that we can do, are 30-year goals that would be underneath the umbrella of the 10-year goals. And that's what we're going to do in the strategic plan, is incorporate that. Look, whether you go option 2 or option 3, I'm just pointing out that they're the exact same options, with the exception of number 6. That's all I'm saying is between the two. If you really look at it, it's just other than a little bit of wordsmithing on each one, the option 3 maybe is a little more explanatory, but take out all the bullet points, which is confusing everybody, and just look at what the different options are. What number, if you, instead of bullet points, if they were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would see, comparing 1 to 1, they're exactly the same.
So what I'm hearing is go with option 3 and then put identifiable 10-year goals underneath those that we can say. So for instance, on
3-year goals. 3-year goals.
3-year goals, not 10-year goals?
These are your 10-year goals. Those big overarching are your 10-year goals. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say what we want to accomplish in 3 to 5 years. And that's what we're going to discuss underneath those bigger policy directives.
So where does the harbor fall underneath these 6 items?
Number 1.
Yeah, because that definitely ensuring long-term financial sustainability through robust economic development, public infrastructure investment, and other strategies. And that is everything that the Harbor Commission wanted to do can be put in underneath number 1.
So back to my point, we're talking about bullet points that are there rather than trying to figure out where it goes. This is a placeholder so that it starts our conversation and guides us along. That's why you just leave them in there, and we're going to change all these bullet points.
No, we don't need to leave them in there. I think we should start with a fresh slate. It's too many bullet points for us to argue over.
Yeah.
Let's just thank you, Todd. And so let's just take out the bullet points, and we can then. And you can bring the bullet points as a cheat sheet with you if you'd like when we do the strategic plan, and incorporate what we're going to put underneath each one for the next 3 to 5 years. And that's fine. The real conversation, just to narrow it down, is do we want to do number 6? I would think that the importance that so many people have, we need to make sure we find that important. There is a job housing imbalance in Redondo Beach, and it's not our fault that balance is there. It's that other cities aren't doing their job. But that's a different conversation. Do we want to keep number 6 in there? And that's the only difference between 2 and 3, and a little bit of wordsmithing.
I'd be in favor of that. Were you planning on making a motion to say that beginning part of that statement?
That we do. Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt option 3, taking out the bullet points, and we'll discuss our 3 to 5 year goals at the next strategic plan.
I'll second it.
Okay. Caspian Horvath, you were next.
Yes. So again, let me just reiterate, because you have all basically tried to do it. When I brought this to you guys a year ago, right, it was meant to start a conversation. That's really what it was. It was a lot, digest, because when we go back and we look at those ones in option 1, right, they were kind of these, and people were coming and saying it to us at that meeting, right? These are kind of loosey-goosey, like, what do they mean? We're going to be the premier waterfront. Who decides that? And how arbitrary is that, right? So to your concern, Mayor Pro Tem, the specificity to Redondo Beach is what you put in, as to John's point, within whatever bullet points you decide are important, both in a long term and a short term, right? That's where the specificity comes in. What was important to me, though, was to say, let's get away from these kind of loosey-goosey terms, right? And let's get into as Laura's describing it, right? The umbrella, the policy areas, because everything we do falls into policy. And the one thing you will always hear staff say is they follow the direction of the policy set by the council. So in doing this, right, it helps us all to be creative. It helps us all to say, what are our long-term goals? What are our short-term goals? And in case of the long-term goals, how do we milestone to get to them, right? Because it's not just like we say, hey, we're going to do that. We actually have to hit milestones along the way to make it happen. We have to be accountable to ourselves and to the goals. So I think we're all talking the same language, and I appreciate the motion. And I think this will really lend itself to a great conversation in a couple weeks when we meet for a strategic plan. And by the way, the one last thing I will say, to the point that Councilmember Grand was making, having the bullet points there was super helpful, I think, when talking about it with the commissions, especially because we were asking for their input. And when they can see ideas, right, whether we agree on them or not, that doesn't matter, right? But they can see, like, well, what does that mean? What would fall in that bucket, right? Then, you could see the commissioners going, oh, okay, that, like, and their minds start to think about the possibilities. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to figure out what are our possibilities, where do we want to go, and this is really just meant to be a way of getting us there. That's it. So thank you.
Sounds good. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, well, thank you, Christian, for all the effort you put in. I would agree with Laura. These are all here. There's 5 or 6 points. I'll just read this to you real briefly. I think we're crossing the line from being strategic into tactical. And a strategic plan supports the organization's vision and mission statements by outlining the high-level plan to achieve both. And a tactical plan answers how do we achieve our strategic plan. It outlines the actions to achieve short-term goals, generally within a year or less. So I think a lot of while some of the bullet points can be considered strategic, a lot of it is tactical. I think we need to come up with the 5 or 6 strategic items, which we have with Christian's help and other people's suggestions, and we fill in those fill underneath that tactical things. And a lot of that is here, but I would hesitate to put it there because we don't have public input yet. And when we start, steering things towards a certain way, we're losing the public, some very good, we've gotten commission input, but we need public input as well too. And I would hope that we'd have the public here in a couple of weeks to be able to say, we agree with you or we disagree with on this. Here's what we need to do in order to go that route. So I think we're all in agreement. I'd call to a vote because I think we're there. Let's keep it at that. And then if we want to fill in the bullets later, let's do that. With the guidance from those bullet points, but I think we're all pretty much in agreement. We like these, it seems like. So,
Okay, Eleanor, any more public comments have come in before?
No public comments on Zoom, and then also just refresh, and no for e-comments.
Great, fantastic. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Grand.
Aye.
Councilmember MD.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Aye. Thank you. All right, onwards and upwards to our next item, P2. Discussion and consideration of adopting a resolution supporting balanced energy solutions and maintaining local control of energy solutions. Adopt by title only is the recommendation, and our host will be Mr. Saman.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We do have a very brief presentation just to introduce this item. And as you mentioned earlier, we do have a blue folder item for material that came in today. This is a continuation of the material from last week, which also had blue folder material. All of that is part of your packet. With me is Rob Osborne, Senior Analyst for the Public Works Department. He's going to go ahead and read that brief presentation for you. Rob?
Yeah, thank you, Ted. I don't know if my video's turned on. Eleanor, can you?
Yes, I will. Let's see here. Okay, there you go.
All right, thank you. Hold on just a second. Start my video.
There you go.
There you go.
There we go. All right, sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. This item is on your agenda tonight as a result of a request from the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce as well as the South Bay Association of Chambers of Commerce. What they're asking is for the city to adopt a resolution supporting balanced energy solutions and maintaining local control of energy choices. They have concern that in attempting to meet the state's carbon neutrality goals, new energy policies are placing too much emphasis on electrification and might be suppressing energy innovation. A resolution similar to ones recently passed by the cities of El Segundo, Hawthorne, and Rancho Palos Verdes is attached for the council's consideration. Several other of our neighbors in the South Bay are considering resolutions, but those are the only 3 that have passed so far. The South Bay City Council of Governments Board of Directors has not yet taken a position on this matter. Their steering committee has recommended it, but the board has not yet made a motion.
The argument against adopting a resolution of this type is that it may lead towards use of energy sources that do emit carbon dioxide, such as natural gas. And would like to point out, adopting the attached resolution would not commit the city to any future actions. So with that, staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Yeah, I haven't received this many lobbyist emails and contacts in a while on a subject. And it was quite interesting to see, especially now we extended it for an extra week. We got an extra little pile. One of the questions I had is, Mr. Osborne, you just said that this was at the request of the three chambers, or I thought this was a request of our Department of Public Works and because of the state. Can we clarify that?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yes, we did receive a request from a joint letter from the Redondo Chamber and the South Bay Association of Chambers asking us to put this on the agenda. So, and that's why we're forwarding it to you.
Okay. Is this a time-sensitive item? Is this?
I don't believe so. Some of the cities that have made motions on it, it was a couple months back. So they'd like to see it move forward, the chambers, but I don't think it's too time sensitive.
Okay. Yeah, I remember LA County tried doing this, and there was a lot of discussion among cities, and people fought. A lot of different cities, organizations fought back, and they ended up not going down that path. It's fine by me, this item, as long as we're allowing all energy choices. This council majorly decided to join a CCA, the LA County CCA, and that means we're in the power production business, which puts us at odds and ends with power production, which means it's in a way, the city wants the more electric usage, higher electric usage, because it's better for the bottom line. And on the flip side, we want to be able to offer our residents any energy choice when they build their house as they deem fit, because we're not in their shoes. And I know when I was walking through Districts 1 and 3 and 4 and 2, I'd come across certain areas that were all electric houses, and they have a little emblem on their door frames, and it's all electric house. And I'd always engage in the conversation, and the ones that got rid of the all electric house were very, very ecstatic, very happy they were able to move over to natural gas. It was hitting their electric bill their pocketbooks quite hard. So I definitely believe that this, as long as we give our residents a choice, we're not in their shoes. We're not telling them what to do. We don't know their financial situation. And if it's a protection from the state or from the county or someone else coming in, let's just have this. It's not an urgent item. So those are my thoughts for now. I know Councilman Horvath put his hand up, and then Lowenstein, and then John, I think, and then Laura. So Councilman Horvath.
I was going to say, let's go to public comment before I go to my comment.
I mean, okay, well, Councilman Lowenstein, do you have anything to say?
I do, yeah. Mr. Hefkin, are you there?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I got to tell you, when I heard this, I was wondering who got this on the agenda. So I am very offended by this, and I'll tell you why. It's taken me almost 4 years to grasp what's going on here in terms of how an item gets on an agenda. It's taken council members who are elected by the residents of Redondo Beach 3 votes to get something on the agenda. The mayor can't get anything on the agenda, and now the Chamber of Commerce comes in, and then the South Bay Chamber of Commerce comes in and gets something on the agenda? How the hell does this happen? This is bullshit. Pardon my French, this is bullshit. I don't like this kind of stuff. This is shenanigans. I don't care if it's a lobbyist. I don't care if it's SoCal Edison, if it's SoCal Gas, if it's the Chamber of Commerce, if it's anybody. We're elected officials. We should be able to get stuff on with 2 votes. And yet they come in and say, let's put this on the agenda, and we put it on the agenda. How the hell does this happen, Joe? How does it happen where they just walk in and get something on the agenda? We have so many issues we have to deal with in a pandemic and everything else, and yet they come in and talk about something that's not even quite honestly relevant right now or pressing. And how does this happen, Joe? Maybe you can explain it to me. How is it that I have to struggle and bite and chew to get anything on the agenda, and yet somebody comes in, walks in without a vote of the council? It wasn't even brought to the council for a vote and saying, should we put this on the agenda or not? But they get in and it's on the agenda for 2 weeks in a row. How does this happen? I don't understand this. I don't even understand how we have the rule that we have to have a vote to get something on the agenda. I've never seen that out of a legislative body in terms of this, but it seems like it's a made-up rule because I can't figure out any logic to this happening right now, and it's on the agenda right now. Why? Was it a mistake, or was this intentional? Because I'm really frustrated right now. This shouldn't happen. So maybe you can explain it. I'll give you a chance to explain it.
Sure. So it's on the agenda in the same way that it's been on the agenda of a number of South Bay cities. It's on the agenda of the South Bay COG. Your representative, Councilmember Horvath, is the representative of the council on the South Bay COG. It's a pertinent item that other cities have felt that it was worthwhile to take an action on. We had the requests from outside agencies. I saw that other cities were taking similar action. Made the decision. That was my decision to put it on the agenda. Didn't come to you and ask. If you don't want to take this up, you could end the discussion right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Because
I'm not finished yet. That's how it got on the agenda.
Yeah.
It wasn't a question of any one council member putting it on the agenda. It wasn't the Chamber of Commerce putting it on the agenda. It was myself putting it on the agenda in consultation with our staff. So, okay. I've been here, several years as a manager. If you've had this frustration about how the agenda is put together, I don't remember discussions like this where you've been so upset about how the agenda was put together. There's been some council discussion about changing how the agenda is put together, but it's not a political process in terms of how this agenda was put together. The agenda items come to me. I decide, are they on? Are they not on? There's a follow-up from any council referrals. I challenge you to find things that were referred to staff where it fell through the cracks and we did not follow through on council referrals. So I take great offense at the way that you have expressed your upset with me and how this item got on the agenda. If you don't want to talk about the item, make a motion to take it off the agenda and you will end the discussion right now.
Okay, motion to take it off the agenda. But I will tell you this is not the first time. You have a short memory because I remember getting on the console and being frustrated and bringing this up at meetings. I'll find it in the minutes, but that's not right. If the way this should have been handled is it's been brought to our attention that we need to do this. You should have brought it to the meeting rather than to put it on. I don't think that's fair because you're holding us, the council, this is our meeting. Okay, you're holding the council to a different standard than other outside groups. That's why I'm upset, Joe. It's not that it's necessarily on the agenda, it's that the standard is different. And that's why I'm upset. It's not right. We should not be second-class citizens to outside organizations. This is our meeting. It is not the council. It is not the Chamber of Commerce's meeting. It is not the South Bay Chamber of Commerce's meeting. It is our meeting. And our meeting is residents' meeting. And that's why I'm upset. That's why I'm upset. I appreciate the fact that I'm sorry that you take offense, but, as far as I'm concerned, this shouldn't be on until it's been brought to the council, for something like this, an outside meeting. This is not in a regular course of business. This is something that an outside group would like us to handle. And if Christian, as part of the COG, would like to bring it to us, great, let's do that. Let's have him make a motion, and I'll gladly vote for it. But for us to just willy-nilly to put it on there is not fair because it's not the same standard that we are held to. That's why I'm upset about it. I don't think it's a double standard, and that's why I look at it. So my motion is to take this off the agenda. I don't know why it was on. And if we want to bring it back, that's fine. I just don't think it's right. It's really not right. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know if there's a second or not.
I just want to say I'm tempted to second it because I don't want this on the agenda either. But at the same time, I want to hash it out and be done with it right now. Because this item irritates the hell out of me. So.
I agree with you too. I don't really want to talk about it. I don't think it belongs here, but I mean, I don't know what this accomplishes. And so before I second that, I don't know what, I spent a lot of time on this item, and Joe, to Mr. Councilman Lowenstein's point, this shouldn't be under the mayor and council items. It should be under city manager items. And, it's the way this has gotten to the council. If you want to refer something to the mayor and to get it on there, go that route. But it took me quite a while to figure out how this even got on the agenda. And I don't like it on the agenda. I don't like it's there. But I have to trust you guys on a lot of things. I'm not going to go down the road of tit for tat. So while I echo some of his concerns, I think at the end of the day, we got to be very careful what's on the agenda. Councilman Grand, you have something to say? Your hand is up.
So what I would say is I would, as I've kind of gone through this and I've been speaking to a number of folks about it, I'd like actually to have the COG and their full debate go through it before we actually bring it back. That's what I would prefer.
I believe the COG had a vote on this, isn't it?
It was at the committee level, not at the full COG.
If I may go out of turn, it came to the steering committee kind of in this way, just popped up on the agenda. And we had a 6-4 vote as to whether it was going to move forward to the full board. I requested that we actually bring the item back for a full discussion because there was no both sides of the story at that presentation. It was just a one-sided presentation by Southern California Gas representatives. And I feel that the majority of my colleagues who did vote for it were completely misinformed.
Okay, Councilmember MD, your hand is up.
Yes. Actually, I also want to hear from the public first, but this resolution's it's just saying hands off Sacramento. We, let us decide what the choices our residents are going to have. And I just don't see anything harmful in this resolution at this time. I understand the politics of it all. I understand that there's an organization that's behind this kind of push, but they're not asking us for we can say no to anything else that they want to come down. Right now, this is just about hands off Sacramento. We're going to go choose this. We just don't want all electric to happen on statewide. That's all. And those are different things we're going to do. But if you just look at the resolution itself, and I understand the whole implications of the bigger policy issues on that this resolution is pretty nebulous on what it's asking and what it's saying. I had a conversation with Vic Knoll about it, and his concern was the organization that if you were to peel off the layers of who's pushing these types of resolutions. And so when I asked him, I said, is there anything on this resolution you want out? And there wasn't any answer to that because this resolution is fairly innocuous.
Right.
So I just don't see what's the big deal and what's the emotion of it all. But it's this resolution on its own, standing on its own, is fine. And as far as if this big bad organization wants to come in and do more, well, then we can have that conversation. And we're pretty in tune people. We'll say, no, we're not going to do that. We're just because we agree with them on this one doesn't mean we're going to agree with them on everything. So anyway, but I'd like to hear from the public as well.
I agree with you, Councilmember MD. It's get it done if we can, I guess. I don't want to spend any more time than we need to. This is kind of a ridiculous thing, which is why I echo Councilman Lowenstein's concerns. Why is this even here? I don't want to spend any more time than we have to. So let's get to the public. Anyone from the public? Ms. Manzano?
Yes, okay, so, Henry Rogers?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, thank you, Eleanor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Henry Rogers. I'm here representing the South Bay Association of Chamber of Commerce and the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce. I'm here obviously speaking in support of item P2 on your agenda. We applaud the city for considering such a resolution. The city of Redondo Beach has always been a green leader and a leading voice in statewide energy policy. Like your city manager said, California has some very lofty energy goals, and by 2045, the state is looking to be carbon neutral. We, like the city of Redondo Beach, are supportive of these state goals, and we're also thrilled that we've seen a number of green collar jobs sprout up right here in the South Bay. This is not about gas or electric. It's about reliability, affordability, and sustainability. Our concern are these policies, energy policies, will be led from Sacramento, not locally. Yourselves, Mayor and Council, know the needs of Redondo Beach residents and the business community best. Working together, we can all achieve a green energy future locally. That concludes my comments. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay, so the next person is Candace Nafisi. Let's see. Candace?
I believe I sent my comments to you. Should I just read them?
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was, okay, so the e-comments that you sent.
Yeah, that's fine. You just
Right,
read them.
thanks. I'm sorry, the email that you received. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next person is Gina Goodhill.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Good evening, council members. Thank you for taking public comment on this really important item. My name is Gina Goodhill, and I'm the Policy Director for Clean Power Alliance, the community choice aggregator that supplies clean power to 32 communities in Los Angeles and Ventura counties, including, as you know, the city, residents, and businesses of Redondo Beach. Clean Power Alliance supports communities having more choice regarding their energy. However, this resolution would not increase choice. It would instead put the city on record as endorsing natural gas and would help to ensure that gas is cemented into California's homes and lives at a time when the state and when Redondo is working to curb the worst effects of climate change as fast as it can. As you know, Redondo Beach is home to a gas-fired once-through cooling plant, and the city's been fighting for years for the choice to shut this plant down. Supporting this resolution would contradict that position. Redondo Beach has already shown that it supports balanced energy solutions through its membership in CPA. Businesses and residents can choose whether to get their power from us or from Southern California Edison. And for those that stay with CPA, they can then have the choice of what percentage of renewables they want CPA to procure on their behalf. 36%, 50%, or 100%. This resolution claims that buildings and vehicle technology mandates eliminates local control and customer choice, suppresses innovation, reduces reliability, and unnecessarily increases costs for Redondo Beach residents and businesses. CPA's competitive rates and local programs have already shown that clean energy does not, in fact, conflict with local control, with customer choice, with innovation, with reliability, or with low costs. We're honored to be a clean energy choice for your community, and we respectfully urge you not to adopt this resolution. Thank you.
Okay, and we have Fabiola Ocha.
Yes, I'm here.
There you go.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council Member, City Manager, and residents of Redondo Beach. My name is Fabiola Ochoa. I am the Public Affairs Manager for SoCal Gas here in Redondo Beach and the South Bay area. I'm speaking here tonight regarding item P2, the balanced energy resolution that you're considering tonight. SoCal Gas is happy that the city is considering this resolution and supports the adoption of it for the city of Redondo Beach. It's no secret that California wants to electrify everything. A proposal which did not pass this legislative cycle would have required all new buildings built after 2022 to be all electric and would have required existing buildings to be retrofitted to be all electric by 2030. While this proposal did not pass, you can be assured that more similar proposals are coming. The proposals to force you to electrify your home are being made in the name of global warming, reducing greenhouse gas and carbon emissions, and other environmental goals. The goals are admirable, but a cost-benefit analysis can justify such drastic actions. And you, Every homeowner and business owner in Redondo Beach and throughout California are the ones who will pay. SoCalGas supports local decision makers like yourselves to be the ones to make those decisions for their constituents and deal with it at a local level rather than leaving it up to state regulators. Let me be clear, SoCalGas does not oppose electrification. If you want to use only electric appliances in your home, that's your choice. What we are saying is not to take away that choice from those who want to use other energy sources. The fact is, virtually every home in Redondo Beach already has electricity, and most also have natural gas. This is the balance that we are talking about tonight. Californians enjoy this balance, want this balance, and expect this balance to continue. The resolution before you tonight is not anti-electrification. It is not part of a coalition or mean that you're joining a coalition if you adopt it. The resolution, as it reads, does not name or call out a specific energy source. It actually does quite the opposite. It is inclusive of all energy sources. In the next 10 years, two things are going to happen. The first is solar and wind power will grow, and SoCalGas supports that growth. Let me repeat that. We support that growth. The second thing is Californians' overall demand for energy will grow, yet we don't know how much it will cost or how high it will be, or how high it is going to make our electric bills at this time when energy in California is already more expensive than in other states. The point is, you shouldn't have to choose between what some decision makers in California believe is right for the environment and the reality of what families can afford, and with a balanced energy approach, you don't have to. With a balanced approach, we can achieve goals, preserve choice, and minimize disruption and cost. I hope you will vote to adopt this resolution tonight. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that concludes the Zoom public participation. And then we have Vicki, if you can read the e-comment, please.
Yes, thank you. This is submitted by Christopher Gilbride. This summer's blackouts reminded us of how critical reliable energy is to our economy and our safety. For California to address the growing severity of climate change, an integrated and effective roadmap to achieve cleaner, safer, more reliable, and affordable energy is needed. The fact is, more renewable electricity and growing demand from EVs and electric appliances will require a more, not less, capable gas grid for peak days and hours. During the peak hours of this summer's electricity crisis, natural gas generators supplied 60% of our energy. If we want electricity at night or when the weather is bad, we need fuels that are available at those times to generate power. Batteries can cover the gap for a few hours, but can never be enough to replace the vast amount of energy delivered by the gas system. So even though we all will be using less gas as the grid gets greener, when renewables aren't available, we still need reliable fuels to quickly fill the gap. And not all fuels are fossil fuels. Like electricity, fuels can be renewable. Renewable natural gas can deliver an affordable, clean energy option for families while also tackling emissions from waste and farming. Clean fuel cells can take stress off the grid and provide resilient backup power for hospitals, industries, and governments. Today, those facilities run on diesel when the lights go out. Fuel cells generate power with no combustion and can run on natural gas, RNG, or renewable hydrogen. That's notable since scientists agree that hydrogen, a fuel, is key to storing renewable energy for months instead of hours. As a Redondo Beach resident and a SoCalGas employee, I would love to see residential fuel cells as an option here. That would allow us to get rid of the tangle of overhead power lines overhead in my neighborhood, North Redondo. Sound too futuristic? Those residential fuel cells are available today, off the shelf at a hardware store in Japan. By supporting balanced policies to reduce emissions from the gas grid, Redondo Beach can help Californians reach our climate goals more affordably, keep the lights on, and keep our state become the true climate role model we aspire to be. That concludes comments for this item.
Ms. Manzano, can we read, I believe there was a comment from Ms. Nafisi. I think that was supposed to be an e-comment. It was submitted via email.
Sure. Hello, I am Candace Nafisi, and I am a resident of District 3. I am reaching out to urge the adoption of this resolution. I recently just went through a rebuild in the city of Redondo Beach. I believe residents should be provided with the opportunity to choose with which
Appliances?
appliances, thank you, they install in their home. Any realtor will tell you that the high quality appliances will add to the value of your home. The state has already been doing enough lately by dictating what cities should be doing. Please adopt this resident-friendly resolution so that the residents are able to choose the best appliances that work for them. I appreciate your consideration for this request. Once again, please adopt this resolution so that Redondo maintains local control of our energy options. Candace Nafisi. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Horvath, did you have any more comments?
Yeah, no, I was just waiting for the public to speak. So I want to share Todd's extreme frustration on this. This resolution flies in the face of a whole variety of things that this council has done in the past few years. One, it flies in the face of our climate action plan that we passed. It flies in the face of us endorsing a Green New Deal. I hear what Henry's saying, and I want to be respectful to Chris, who lives in my district, and Fabiola, who, as representatives for Southern California Gas, have been extremely helpful in partnering with us on a variety of things and projects here. And I appreciate what they do, and they're good at what they do. We live in a world right now where natural gas is a part of our existing balanced energy mix. I don't believe that that's the future. Necessarily, but more to the point, Henry brought up the year 2045, all right, because that's the state goal to become carbon neutral. That's 25 years away. I feel pretty confident that Southern California Gas is going to figure out how to make sure their business plan as an energy producing company will work over the course of the next 25 years. And I can assume with geothermal processes and whatnot that they could still figure out a way to even use their pipelines if natural gas was to completely go away. I don't think it's completely going away, but the idea of reaching carbon neutrality is a local issue. And that's something we've decided on and a lot of cities have decided on. But I think a lot of cities have been snookered by this resolution so that they can go to Sacramento and say, look, all the cities in our region are telling you not to do this. We want to reverse course. So I think it's a bit disingenuous, some of the materials that have been presented to us. Mayor Pro Tem mentioned he hasn't gotten this many emails from lobbyists in a long time. That should set off red flags. That's something I would expect to hear Todd say. The red flag should go off when the lobbyists are sending you a crap load of emails, right? There's a reason why they went to the chambers first. You know, they're going to the organizations that, and I'm a chamber member, right? That typically want to support business. And in this case, there's a lot of fear tactics out there about businesses that currently use natural gas. Well, nobody's telling them they have to change. Just like to the point that Ms. Nafisi made, nobody is actually telling you you can't use natural gas in your house right now, or you can't buy natural gas appliances. Nobody's telling you that you have to switch to electric. You still have that choice, and you will have that choice for a long time. So, you know, I think, you know, when this came to the COG, the mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes said, well, we have a lot of senior citizens, and we don't want to, you know, to tell them they have to get rid of their range tops and their gas dryers and whatnot. Nobody's saying that. They don't have to. We're not putting anybody in a predicament here. But if, to Ms. Goodhill's points, if we sign on to this resolution, we are basically cementing our support for the continued use of natural gas and basically a cutting off of the legs of all the progress that has been made in terms of carbon neutrality statewide. I know that there's a big push from Southern California Gas to start talking about clean natural gas. And that's, you know, supposed to come from methane-based sources on, you know, cow farms, dairy farms. You know, listen, in 2018, 56% of our power generated in this state was already non-carbon generating, and 5% of natural gas in California is what would ultimately come from this kind of renewable, this potential idea of renewable gases from, methane and stuff. So we're not talking about a big jump here in some type of renewable forces. I believe if to Fabiola's comments, if the gas company is truly concerned about being innovative, then they will figure out a way to be innovative in this area without necessarily forcing everyone to tell the state to do a full stop on progress that is still 25 years away. So I think it's a completely disingenuous, I respectfully disagree with my friend Henry and the others that have commented here. But I think supporting this would just be a completely bad move. And by the way, that is why I made sure to send you guys all those articles. Investigative journalists have shown that Southern California Gas has actually been using ratepayer money to support this campaign, which I think is wrong, and I'm pretty sure the PUC would probably say that as well. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Osborne, does this resolution anywhere in here state that we are going to be using only natural gas or only electricity or only one form of energy or the other moving forward?
No, it doesn't. All it says is that the city supports balanced energy solutions and providing with decision-making authority. It doesn't commit the city to any future use or of any type of fuel or energy.
Okay. I've got a lot of tentacles that go around this world, and I've got a lot of relatives in Germany, and I get see what's going on over there. And they made a big decision to get rid of nuclear power. Everyone lauded them. And they're building 2 massive pipelines from Russia to Germany for natural gas. They are one of the leaders of clean renewable wind and solar. But anyone that lives any other residents that live next to the wind farms tell you how loud it is. There's no perfect solution. There's no perfect answer in energy. And, if we're not supporting one way or the other, we're not forcing residents, the natural gas in Sweden and other places, they are taking renewable energy, producing hydrogen and putting the hydrogen inside of natural gas lines. Burning biomass has great things for both sides of the green CO2 equation. So you're burning it off so it doesn't go in the atmosphere. I mean, there's so many ways to look at this. A nebulous resolution like this, while it shouldn't be here right now and everyone's angry about it, I think we should just move on with it and we don't have to come back with it, as Laura had stated earlier. Councilman Grand?
Yeah, so I think some very good points are being made on both sides. I don't see this as a significant, as Ms. MD said, it's pretty innocuous, but I also understand why Mr. Horvath is adamantly opposed to it. When you do get so much information about one issue where you can't really tell what the action really does and all that, I kind of go, there's got to be more to this than what we're seeing. What I would like to do is I'd like to second Todd's motion to remove this and that we bring it back at another time. I would say bring it back after the COG has actually had a different debate on it, so we can hear all of that. I hear both sides. Like I said, I believe when Mr. Horvath states facts about what he's saying. I stand there and I hear Henry and I hear the gas company saying that they are making compelling argument. I'll just say that. I'd like to hear more debate. I'd like to hear it at the COG level, and then I'd like to consider it and finish it at that point down the road. And that's so I'm going to second Todd's motion to remove it until then.
Okay. So I want to let you know as well to those points regarding ratepayers. The CPA, which is a government-driven organization, has a person here, Gina, who is echoing all electric. So it's the same thing all the way around. Everyone's in the same boat. So we have a second. Do we have Councilman Horvath? You still have your hand up, and so is Councilman Lowenstein, Councilman Grand.
I put it back up to make a substitute.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem, we have another e-comment. for this item.
Okay, let's do the substitute motion and we will do the e-comment.
My substitute motion is to deny the resolution and not have this come back again.
I'll second it.
Wait, can we do that? Can you
I think I can.
Somebody else's motion that you've...
I think you can.
Sure can.
Yeah, you still have to vote anyway once.
I just want to make sure that we're okay with this. Do we have...
Well, I want to clarify that while I appreciate John seconding my motion.
Hold on real quick, hold on. City Attorney Mike Webb, if you're around, or Cheryl Park, we're going to need you in a second or two. You can text each other. Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, while I appreciate John seconding my motion, I'm not agreeing to it being brought back. So there wasn't really, my motion doesn't necessarily carry. I mean, there's not a second on my motion.
I wasn't saying to actually bring it back. I'm saying an appropriate time would be to bring it back after the COG, if it ever gets brought back. Just quite frankly, I'm seconding your motion for a different reason than you made the motion.
But it's a substitute motion, so that's
no
relevant. You're going to vote on the substitute motion first, and that will, and you can withdraw your motion because he's seconding a different version of what you believe your motion was. But you should deal with Christian's substitute motion first, and if it doesn't,
I will withdraw my motion then.
Thank you for that clarification. So we have one motion on the floor. That's Councilman Horvath's motion with a second from Councilman Lowenstein.
Right.
Not just say I love parliamentary procedure. It just cracks me up.
Right. Just making sure we're. Got to make it think. No easy night here, Redondo. Hey, at least we're moving along. Only one more item after this is record time. Ms.
But I got a
Manzano,
comment after the comment, so.
Yeah. Do we have any more comments?
Yeah, we have one more. So Vicki, you want to go ahead and read that?
Yes, thank you. Leslie Campeggi submits to totally agree with Councilmember Lowenstein and Councilmember Horvath. The quick rush to adopt a resolution isn't harmless and places the city in a position that doesn't align with the city's current goals. You shouldn't be writing resolutions that not understood, least of all ones that the council calls nebulous or innocuous. Don't go on record supporting something you don't fully understand and without a comprehensive presentation. That concludes the comment.
Ready for roll call?
Roll call vote, please.
No, I have a comment.
Oh, you have your hand up. Sorry. Okay, you guys both have your hands up. All right, Councilman Lowenstein.
Okay, so while I've been outspoken about climate change, my opposition to this is twofold. One is not to do with climate change. It's to do with the city inserting themselves into a battle between natural gas providers and electricity providers. And I'm not ready to do that yet. I don't think we're effective at doing it. And Sacramento will deal with this on its own. I'm not gonna be there for that. It's not gonna help. The second thing is I'm not gonna give any more oxygen to this idea because I don't think it's here legitimately. And so I personally have an aversion to how this got on the agenda. With no offense to SoCal Gas or Henry or anybody else, if it were bikes, I'd still have a problem with it because this is brought by an outside organization. And again, something like this should be hashed out with the council because we have a lot more items. I can't get a skate park item back on the agenda yet. And yet here we're going through and dealing with items that are a battle between SoCal Gas and SoCal Edison. So again, that's why I'm upset. It isn't necessarily about the content of the item. It's the fact that it got here to begin with. So I'm voting no.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Horvath. Do you still have your hand up, or?
I apologize. No.
No worries. No worries. All right, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lowenstein?
No.
Councilmember Horvath?
Councilman Lowenstein, I think
that was your.
You seconded his motion.
Yeah, you're so good.
Oh, whoa. Sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you for clarifying. I'd like to clarify again. I am voting yes on the motion. Thank you very much.
You're voting yes on no.
Okay. Councilmember Horvath.
Thanks for clarifying because I got really super confused.
So was I.
So, aye.
Councilmember Grand?
Aye.
Councilmember MD,
No.
and Mayor Pro Tem.
I am voting aye on no.
Okay, so that's 4-1.
Okay. That was quite a little bit of entertainment there. All right, so onwards for our last item, our last entertaining item, which is our community entertaining item, a discussion regarding Halloween trick-or-treating and COVID-19 restrictions, what people can and cannot do to ensure that people, when they decide to set up holiday block parties or group gatherings or outside people coming into our community for a wonderful Halloween surprise. What can we expect? So I think we have our city attorney, Mike Webb. Take it away.
So this was a motion made by Councilman Lowenstein and approved by the council unanimously. And the idea was he had received a number of requests from community members, and they wanted to see if there'd be a way to use block parties to try and restrict trick-or-treating to members of their neighborhood, their street only. About a week after this motion was made, County Health came out and quite clearly said that all trick-or-treating was illegal and banned by the previous order, only to completely reverse their decision and come out less than 24 hours later to say, just kidding. What's really banned is you can't have any parties. You can't have collections of people. And so trick-or-treating is not recommended, traditional trick-or-treating, but it is not banned. However, parties of any kind, including block parties, are still banned. So there wouldn't be a way to have the city set up block parties so that they could restrict people from outside the street or neighborhood. There are also constitutional issues in terms of the right to travel freely. The one city that I've seen that tried to do something similar, it's actually tonight, Beverly Hills, except they're discussing an emergency order from their health and safety committee that would completely make it illegal to trick or treat. And then on top of that, they're trying to restrict certain areas that I think are frequently trick or treated to residents only. Well, you'd have more of a cost to do that if you're completely making it illegal. What I found more helpful was the National Centers for Disease Control. They had a more nuanced list. They had high-risk activities such as traditional trick-or-treating or Halloween parties. They had low-risk events, but then they had medium risk. And the one thing I think that neighborhoods could do is they have one-way trick-or-treating where a table or tables could be set up on the edge of a driveway or edge of the lawn, and you could make pre-packaged baggies. They suggest the person wash their hands before they do it, and also suggest that the kids wear gloves or carry hand sanitizer. But then the neighborhood could communicate just to put up signs, start here, so that you don't have people passing each other, not coming within 6 feet. So after homeless court on Wednesday and the ex parte that I mentioned Wednesday afternoon, I persuaded my wife to buy some early trick-or-treat decorations, and the photos in there are what it could look like on our block, where we set up 2 tables, one at the edge of our driveway, one at the edge of our lawn, and you could set up individual baggies for the kids to pick up the trick-or-treat, the goodies, the candy, and then when there's a lull, you could just replenish the table. So that would avoid all the high-risk activities you would have if the community would have to cooperate to make certain there's clear signs as to start here and finish here one way, so that they could coordinate so that there wouldn't be much cross traffic. They wouldn't be coming within 6 feet of each other. As I further recommended, stated the CDC is recommending that people wear a mask, not a Halloween mask, and they don't recommend doubling up on them because people could have trouble breathing. The one thing I found after the report that was the most innovative I saw was some people have come up with giant tubes. So they had a banner or something. Just basically, if the kid was 6 feet away and lower, they could just put the candy in the tube, and that would extend into their Halloween bag. So I think that is the one thing that would enable our kids to have more of a normal trick or treat, not high risk. Again, it's not recommended in LA County, and as was mentioned before, we can't be less restrictive, we can be more restrictive, but that would give away with minimal risk that the neighborhoods can cooperate. The one thing is that LA County doesn't focus on neighborhoods, they focus on households. So pursuant to the LA County orders, it doesn't matter if it's your neighbor or it's someone from another city that's coming to trick or treat, they're all not in your household. And that's where they define it. And so with that, I open up for any discussion, but that's a way we can suggest they try and work together to have a more normal trick or treat during this most abnormal of years.
So thank you for that. I saw that photo and I was like, I don't know where that is, but that's somewhere here in Redondo. And I don't know where it is, but it looks familiar. Now I know. So good work. That's excellent.
It's in your district. And it's just, when I explained to my wife, she was going, we have to do what?
Oh, she did a fantastic job. She gets an award for that.
Okay, I'll pass it along to her. She's probably watching it in the other room, but
how Mike gets to eat candy.
Yeah, Mike. No candy for Mike. No
candy for Mike. Yes.
Candy for Mike. You make sure. I guess you don't have to have her come down to City Hall and decorate the hallways.
That's true.
In there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
So I saw you attach the guidelines here. Did it say in here? I was looking for a maximum of 50 people or less. What was it? What's the current guidelines for group gatherings? 25 or 50? It didn't say. I don't think I saw it
in there, but I don't think it's that high. I'll have to double check. Let's see.
Okay. Did you by any chance happen to talk to the school district on this, or anyone from the school district?
No, I did not.
Okay.
And I finally no longer have a kid in the school district. So
congratulations. Okay, yeah, great report. I know it's going to be interesting to see what parents do. I'm imagining some parents, they're going to start figuring out, talking to each other. We'll have a porch light on with a orange bag on the light. That means it's okay to come to this house. We'll give you something. I don't know, however they figure it out. Maybe, I don't know. I think there's some parents I hear from parents all the time how they are very frustrated with the having kids home 7 days a week. And I hear it in my neighborhood. I mean, they are home 7 days a week. We've effectively changed our local zoning for residential to become school districts, one giant school district. It'll tell you exactly when class is out.
It's true.
So Todd, Councilman Lowenstein, go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for putting this item on the agenda after we voted for it. So
I was going to say I don't remember any biting and chewing, but I was going to let that.
Right. No, you were very helpful, and everybody else. So thank you all for hearing this out. I had residents, like I said, approach me saying, "Can we block off our street?" So you were saying that you normally cannot block off the street anyway during Halloween, or is it just because of the pandemic, or both?
No, it's just because of the pandemic. We typically have block parties, but we don't typically have them during Halloween. But we suspended our block party because you can't have any any sort of parties. And even when we do, we don't block off, as part of our block party, we don't block off the sidewalks. We, part of the condition is the sidewalks are open, and they can block off the street so they can have the party in the street and gather in the neighborhood. But the condition is they have to allow essential traffic. And
so it's essentially becoming a gated community when you do something like that.
That's exactly. They have to allow people in the neighborhood to come and go. And if somebody needs an ambulance or a police patrol car, they have to, as a condition of the permit, allow them in. We don't block off the sidewalks.
And I understand why the residents want to do that. This has been a horrible year for kids. We all know that. I hate playing Grinch, saying we can't do that. I can't believe it's going to be made illegal in Beverly Hills. I don't know who's going to be out there enforcing, saying no candy for you for kids, and parents saying, and the city saying you can't hand out candy. I just, listen, let's use our common sense, but it's just, what a hard year for kids and for parents alike. So thank you for doing this research. I know that there's some folks that are watching this tonight that were interested in learning about the item. Just find some innovative ways to hand out candy, like Mike said. I think that would be a good idea. So thank you for researching this.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for asking me to do it. But I think the one way, and if they don't have to come into contact with anyone, they can still get the candy and dress up in costume, and that, from a kid's point of view, is really all that's into it, that is to it. So if they get to dress up and get to get their candy, I don't know how much they'll miss the interaction with us at the door.
Right.
Yeah. And I believe Governor Newsom came out with new state orders regarding, well, that's not state orders, recommendations, I want to say.
Yeah.
Regarding parties indoors with 3 families or something.
Yeah, I saw that. I did not get a chance to review that today.
Those aren't binding, right? Those are just his recommendations.
Recommendations, correct. And again, as the city manager said, we can be more restrictive, but we can't be less restrictive than the tightest restriction, and that in this case is LA County.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, Councilman Horvath.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was disappointed that Mike didn't bring pictures of the guy with the zip line candy delivery thing, because not only did it deliver candy, but it delivered beers to the parents. So, I just expect more, Mike. That's all.
I'm sorry I failed you. I will do better with my next holiday themed assignment.
I can only imagine what people are going to be up to this year. Okay. Public comment. Any, I see an attendee with a P2 on there.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, this is Candace Nafisi from District 3. I was just wanted to urge you guys to think about something innovative and refrain from any prohibited things for parents. We have been indoors, for almost 8 months, and I know that I am been talking to a lot of parents. I'm very involved in my PTA. I'm the neighborhood block captain. I've been talking to a lot of parents, and I just want to let you know that we're all well aware of what's going on. Every family has, sort of done their own thing to make sure that their family is particularly safe, and those families that are particularly sensitive or worried about getting COVID don't come out. I've actually polled my street, and I know that there are some older people that are not comfortable with trick-or-treating, and they've opted to just turn their light off. And so I think that we should give credit to our residents, because we've done a really good job. We're the only beach city that doesn't have a mask ordinance. We're doing the right things. Our numbers are low. So I think we could get away with, not doing anything prohibitive. But Halloween is coming. I know a lot of parents and families are really excited about it. I like the idea of blocking off the street, but I will tell you, I don't want to be the one to tell a kid they can't come to my street. That sounds horrifying. And I don't want to task our police department to stand there and tell someone else to not come on our street. So I ask you to think through what that looks like. And I also know that there are people on my street who don't even want it blocked off. even though I think that's a great idea so that, remain safe, but just think through those semantics and what those look like as you move forward in your decision. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Nafisi. Any other E comments?
No, the e-comment was from Candace. She's already spoken.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to get parents to talk to each other, I guess. I think the idea of people who don't want people to show up, don't put your porch light on, put a big thing, please no knock. It's very important that people do realize, Ms. Nafisi brought up a great point, older people who are susceptible, people who are in the risk categories, they don't need this heartache at all. So we got to be very cognitive of that. And I thank you, Councilmember Lowenstein, for bringing this up to bring this to our attention so we can, do something, and how much we can do, unfortunately. Thank you, Mr. Webb, for coming up with these ideas. And, again, thank your wife for that great photo. So other than that, we don't really need to do anything, no receiver file or anything.
No, just a discussion.
Just discussion item. Perfect. Great.
Okay.
All right. So that's item P3. We are moving onwards past P4. Mayor and council referrals to staff.
That was pulled.
Oh.
That was?
No, P4 was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, P4.
Yeah. So item Q. Mayor and council referrals to staff. We'll start off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. No, you're good. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, I just want to add one item. When are we bringing back the discussion on the skate parks?
That's next week.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Horvath.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gran.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember MD.
So next week sounds quite crowded. Isn't that when we're also going to get back the homeless report that we had asked for?
Yes, there'll be a follow-up report. In fact, today was a great day that there was significant funding allocated by the County Board of Supervisors unanimously towards the pellet program. So we'll have a report on that. Not specifics in terms of locations, but kind of a status report on the research to date.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so, last month in early September, I believe I made a motion. I don't know if Mr. Wazanski is there, regarding public amenities to the harbor and waterfront. That report was to come back to us before strategic plan. I know we have a strategic plan on the 28th, I want to say it was, or 29th.
29th.
Thursday the 29th. Are we getting that back next week as well?
Yeah, I think Mike stepped away.
Mr. Proud?
Yeah, no, you won't. I'm in large part because I don't know that we had it on our radar screen that was supposed to be back before strategic plan. So we are working on that item, but it will not be on next week's agenda.
Okay. Did you guys present that to the Harbor Commission last night?
No.
Okay, that was something else.
It'll be an item that comes to you first, and then it would go to the Harbor Commission after it comes to the council.
Okay. So when do you think that's going to come back now?
We talked about either late November or the first meeting in December. We had Mike and I had a call on this last week and to talk about the scheduling on it, and that's likely the timing for it right now.
Okay, Mike, does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think we're looking at our third Tuesday in November or our first Tuesday in December.
Correct.
We need a little time to frame. We need a little time to frame the amenities that we want to include in the review, and I think we need to bring to you some cost estimates associated with the type of firms that we might want to contemplate helping facilitate the process, and or give you the options for us to do it purely in-house. But and of course, the pros and cons of those two choices.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other motions to make moving forward. Well, Joe, just out of curiosity, how many items are we expecting for next week's agenda? 5 items, 10 items?
The agenda's still coming together. I'll have a meeting tomorrow with staff to see the status of items, so I'll know more tomorrow. I don't have a final list right now.
Yeah, we'll be calling the election also. Just FYI.
The March election, so no one
Correct.
gets confused. Okay. All right. If anyone else has nothing else to say, we need to, let's see, adjourn in memory of. This is always the sad part. Always remembering our people who've gone away. So we are adjourning tonight in memory of Kim Bishop, a city maintenance worker at the Pier area, and adjourning in memory of Patricia Franklin, mother of city employee Shelley Franklin, and adjourning in memory of Delia Elena Lucas, mother of city employee Geraldine Trevetti. So thank you to the city workers and their staff, and we're thinking about you, and you're part of the family here. So yeah, we can get a motion now to close up.
I think you just did. Can't you just make that motion and then I'll second that?
There you go.
Okay, Councilmember Lowenstein,
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Gran,
Aye.
Councilmember MD,
Aye.
and Mayor Pro Tem Nieren.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Have a good
Aye.
night, everyone.
Bye, good night.